If he really is an imposter, then you have nothing to worry about.
Kalis has been dead for 1,000 years. But the idea of Kalis is still alive. Have you ever fought an idea, Picard? It has no weapon to destroy, no body to kill. The idea of Kalis' return must be stopped here now, or it will travel through the Empire like a wave and leave nothing but destruction behind.
Hello everyone, this is Editing Maggie, jumping in off the top here. We are finally back from our long hiatus. There's just some personal things happening behind the scenes, but we are back and chugging along. This is our first episode we're putting up, coming back. However, this was actually already in the can before we went on break. We actually had a few episodes that we recorded prior to the break. So that's why you may not hear any acknowledgements of how long we've been gone so far. But I hope that you enjoy the episode. Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional TNG Podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are Star Trek veterans, and Dory is a rookie Trekkie, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today we're discussing the Season 6 episode, Rightful Heir. Original air date is May 15th, 1993. And as always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay, so Enterprise is on course for the Garamond sector. Gasp, Worf is late for his shift. Oh my god.
He's never late.
Riker's calls Worf, no answer. And then he barges into his room, and Riker, the computer says that Worf is in his room, but Riker immediately clocks something must be wrong and calls for security to meet him at Worf's quarters. Riker overrides Worf's locked door and proceeds to find Worf sitting in the dark with a fire in front of him and repeating a phrase.
Yeah, apparently there's no fire suppression system on the Enterprise, so all right.
Yeah. It's interesting. And Riker's just bro, and Worf just stares, and then cut to credits.
Mm-hmm. They jumped from 0 to 1,000 real quick. They're
yeah,
Worf is late? He's in his room! He's not answering the door. It's quickly let me in. It's bro probably just slept in, dude.
Yeah.
I know it's not normal for Worf, but
a warrior never sleeps in.
Yeah. I'm sure for Worf it's because it's not even he was that late into the shift. It's the shift change just happened and he wasn't there immediately, and they're oh my god,
something's wrong.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that punctual where if they weren't there 5 minutes early, I would be I'd be worried about them. I don't.
Yeah, honestly, I expect my friends to be late at this point in my life.
To be fair, A, this is technically a military vessel. B, it's Worf. C, they did try to contact him and ask the computer before going down there.
True. I don't. Okay.
You're right. It is still quite an escalation very quickly, but the only.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't remember them trying to contact Worf.
He calls him on the bridge, and that's how they knew he was in his room, because they're where's Worf? And they're oh, he's in his quarters.
Yeah, but they did they go Commander Riker to Worf?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind then. Yeah. Okay. I guess it's not as bad as not as extreme as I am making it out to be, but it was still it
feels like a lot happening very quickly.
Yeah, it was still a lot.
Yes. No, I agree with that. Okay, so Picard comes to see Worf, and Picard's what the fuck's going on? What the fuck you doing? What's going on? Mm-hmm. And Worf's it's hard to explain. And Picard and me at the same time both went, try.
Yeah.
So Worf has been feeling empty since his trip to the Romulan / Klingon crossover planet. Mm-hmm. And Worf told all the youth all this stuff about Kalis, and aka Klingon Jesus, and
continuity.
He would rise one day. Mm-hmm. And I honestly do not remember him telling them about Kalis, but I'm assuming that's correct.
He told them stories, but I don't know if they'd established the Kalis thing yet when they made that episode. So they
did.
Yeah.
Actually, Kalis was technically established in original series.
Oh.
But yeah, he did bring up that it was Kalis, and then was talking about because Kalis is like the only named mythical figure that was being talked about at that point. There are other ones that are discussed as we get into DS9, but
Yeah.
at this point, Kalis is the only one they talk about.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, there is one other one. I think it's like Feklar or something. It's the Klingon devil from that one
yes.
episode of
That's
the
true,
lady.
yeah. Actually, before we go on, I just wanted to, since we're on the topic anyway, it's funny that you bring up that you weren't sure if it was Kalis or like other people or like that he just hadn't been named or something like that, because the original pitch for this episode, that the guy who pitched it lovingly called the episode Jurassic Worf. Was about a Klingon cult that was bringing mythic figures back to life. Unnamed
Honestly,
mythic figures. It was just a pitch.
I love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love that. I would watch that. I would
And
love
that
it.
part of the story did survive
Yeah.
into this, but it was more of like a political intrigue story, and this one obviously was not that.
I love the sound of that, though. They should have done that episode. I mean, this wasn't bad. It just... We'll get to that. Anyways,
Yeah.
okay. So...
It's not exciting.
yeah, so Worf, he told all the youth, told them about Klingon Jesus, and Picard goes over to Worf's kind of fire setup and is like, is this like what you're doing here? And I'm like, is Worf trying to bring back Kalis? No, he's just trying to, what did I write?
He's trying to summon
Recapture.
Summon a vision.
Oh, no, I couldn't read what I wrote. He's just trying to like kind of recapture the Klingon vibes because he's feeling a little off. And I said he's okay. Nope, just kidding. He was trying to summon Kalis. And Picard's like, okay, why not use the holodeck? But Worf's like, it's gotta feel real though.
Yeah.
It's gotta be real, man.
Yeah. But Worf is bummed because Kalis did not come to him, and Worf doesn't feel chosen. And then I wrote Jesus, but like how I normally would, not like this situation.
Yeah.
But I just was like, and I'm just like, this is just Christianity in a different font.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's like most fake religions are.
Sci-fi is allegory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
And
I wrote,
what this episode was very much trying to do. By the way, you can thank Ronald D. Moore for this, who was
Oh, yeah, I
behind
saw the
scenes known
Klingon
as
guy.
The Klingon guy,
Yeah.
yes.
oh yeah, I saw his name in the credits.
But so he decided that, like, because they could never have pulled off an episode like this with any character besides Worf on the crew, because everyone else is just too close to being human. And the way that Gene Roddenberry approached all Star Trek is that because he is a secular humanist, so are like the entirety of humanity. Basically, religion is no longer existent in the human part of Star Trek. So this was the only way that they could really explore faith in Star Trek, while they had to use a character who is inherently alien, and of course already had some faith, so that helps.
Yeah.
So Worf right now is questioning his beliefs, and then I wrote, is this Worf's Come to Kalis episode?
Nice. It is really thinly veiled. I definitely agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Picard asks Worf if he can, like, pilgrimage or something, like, go somewhere.
Yep.
And he's like, well, actually, there's Boroth. The followers of Kalis await his return there. And, oh, how lucky. Boroth is 12 days away in a shuttle. So Picard, is like, Worf, go on your field trip. And when you come back, I expect you to make your peace with your faith or something, or like just get your
Basically, yeah.
shit together.
No, he's like,
I'm-
listen, take a vacation and figure your shit out. But when you come back, I expect you to, like, not be distracted by this.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, to the point where it's not going to affect your duties. Mm-hmm. And, like, so I just want to make a comment about, like, the Christianity thing, because, like, it 100% is. Mm-hmm. But at least to me, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like an allegory for Christianity. It just feels like they obviously used, like, inspiration from Christian mythology to
Yes.
inform how Klingon mythology works.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I would look at it is these are white men in America writing this. They are obviously going to draw upon their experiences, and their experiences are growing up in a majority Christian nation. So there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a line later on that I was like, Jesus, hello?
Yeah.
Okay, so we see Boroth. It kind of looks like Jabba's palace from Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
but like if there was snow on it.
That's fair.
And so, yeah, Worf and like a bunch of other Klingons, they just are like hanging around a fire and like praying, I guess, and like repeating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So
They're doing their ritual, and they're chanting, and they're trying to summon a vision of Kahless.
Yeah, so some guy named Devok has like a vision where he sees Kalos and wants him to like go with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And Worf is mad jealous.
oh yeah, also because they're like, that guy is 19, and I was like, that is not a 19-year-old. That is a 46-year-old. Like, that is illegal. But Worf is also bummed because he's been there for 10 days and he hasn't had a vision yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we meet Koroth.
Dory?
Sorry. Yeah?
So that guy's not 19. He's clearly in his 40s. I want you to remember that when we get to DS9.
Oh boy.
Specifically regarding Klingons.
Oh boy. Well, Klingons, like all Klingons to me look older than
Yeah,
they are.
the makeup does
like
age
apparently, yeah, because
It does. But that's not why. Maggie, I think you know why.
Yeah.
all Klingons just seem older to me.
That's fair.
Okay, so we meet Koroth, who's like this old guy, and honestly, I didn't like any of this. I was getting a little bit anxious. I was like, this feels, I don't want to say culty, but culty.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Well,
so
they are
then-
literally a cult.
yeah.
Not like an evil cult or anything, but this is like a cult that is like obsessed with their own religion.
yeah,
Yeah.
because like there is the modern usage of the term cult is like has a very specific like sort of meaning.
Yeah, it's loaded.
But yeah, I think like the classical definition of cult is like just a religious order.
Yeah.
I think it's specifically like very small, very closed-in religious orders.
Yeah, it could be. Because, like, I remember when I was doing, peek behind the curtain here for any non-Catholics. When I was in grade 8, I had to do this thing called confirmation. Which, if you're Catholic, that's basically, like, where you decide that it's, like, yes, I am going to be a member of the church. And, yeah, that's basically it. You confirm that you're going to be a member of the church, you're going to live by the church's rules and expectations and blah, 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 whatever, right? It's supposed to be like, you know, oh, you're old enough to finally decide now, even though there isn't, if you grow up Catholic, there really isn't a choice. Like,
No, there isn't.
especially because I went to Catholic school, it was literally part of the grade 8 curriculum to go through all the shit you have to go through for confirmation.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Which is like, so you like
It's like a lot of big decisions to be making for someone so young.
yeah. And it's like you have to have been baptized in order to do it, because like it's a multi-step process being getting to Catholic Church. But yeah, it's like your standard, like, you know, you gotta study some prayers and bullshit. But part of confirmation is you have to pick your own personal, like, patron saint. And, like, you have to pick a saint, and you have to, like, give a reason for it, and you have to, like, do a little report on them and stuff. And that, I think, is also, because for a while, if you were Catholic for sure, maybe Christian in general, but I don't remember, but this Catholic for sure, is you had a secret name, so that, like, if you were ever persecuted or whatever, or, like, you needed to find, like
Another Catholic.
Yeah, you could say, like, your secret, or that's the name that God knows you as, so no matter, like, they can't besmirch your name in, on Earth because God knows your true name or whatever the fuck. So,
All right.
if I remember correctly, your confirmation name is your secret name, and that's like the saint that you pick.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I was doing research on my saint, and like in the text, they mentioned something about like, and this is what like it was Saint Cecilia who I picked, and this is like the cult of Saint Cecilia, and they like, this was their beliefs, so that's why I think cult like usually means like a specific like sect or order. And not so much has like the sort of negative connotations.
Yeah, well, that's like today's stuff that has given us the negative well, not today specifically, but like, the last 50 to 100 years or so. But yeah, officially it's supposed to be like a group that holds like a great devotion to something or someone, and in this case, I guess they're just like the cult of Kaelus's return.
Yeah, although I don't think they call it a cult in the show.
They don't. They're just, that's
No.
just what it functionally is.
Yeah. It is a cult, and like honestly, all like religions have a degree of cultishness to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like that's just sort of the nature of having faith like
Yep.
that. And like because cults like specifically like they use like the ritual and community and other factors to control you and get something out of
Yep.
you. And like religions do that too. Some are like, I guess I don't want to get too deep into a religious conversation because like I don't think religion's inherently bad, and I think you can,
I mean, you don't want to get too
but-
deep into a religious conversation, despite the fact that we just watched Rightful Heir, and that's kind of the point of it.
True. I just I don't want to like.
Maybe we get into a more in-depth one once I've
Yeah.
done the recap, because then you can kind of go like hog
I think I
wild
agree
on
with
this.
Yeah, I basically I just didn't want to like get into like because I think fundamentally, religion is just a means of control. That's not always a bad thing, but it tends to lead to some pretty bad things.
Oh yes.
Anyway,
Yeah. Okay. So
sorry.
No. It's fine. Okay, so Koroth, he's like telling all this shit about Kaelus, and he's like, "Oh, see that random star? Oh, he says that Kaelus says that he'll like come back on like a star. He's like, "See that random one? I'll meet you there." And everyone's like, "Yeah, that sounds legit."
I love the implication that like they somehow literally found the star he was talking about.
Yeah, because Koroth made it seem like they literally like found the star. This is it. We did it, guys.
Yeah.
We did it, Joe.
Yeah, and like, so like, I don't know how long ago this was. Let's say thousands or whatever.
1,500
Like
years ago.
hundreds. Yeah,
'cause
1,500 years ago, he pointed to a random star, and they figured out which one it was.
Well, okay, here's actually a side point. They actually give two different timelines in this. So unless Klingons live to be 500 years old, is that a thing?
No.
Because they say 15 centuries,
Yeah.
and then later they say 1,000 years.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there is a dropped line from the from the actual like it was filmed, but it was cut, and it's they mentioned specifically that it happened in around the year 800 and some odd, which would put this 1,500 years ago. What
Okay,
I
so
know
then
I know
their
the
later
1,000
line
year
is-
thing that you're talking about. That was Gowron speaking it. He was talking to Picard,
Yeah.
and he was basically just truncating. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so, yeah. Kaelis has been gone for 15 centuries. Like, did she get lost with the... What is happening? Okay, so, but Koroth's like, Worf, if you can't vibe, you can go back to the Enterprise. It's fine. But Worf really just needed to have a quick moment of doubt, because then he could go back to the fire. And Kaelis appears. Yeah, just like, just appears. And he's wearing this, like, white furry coat. And I wrote, call him a loaf of bread because Kalis has risen.
That was good. I like that.
Thank you.
That said, fuck Kalis's outfit. Holy shit, it makes him look like a chubby
It
guy.
was very funny.
Oh, I thought it was fine.
but-
It looks like
I was
it just
fine
looks
with it.
Klingon. Like
It looks kind of more decked out.
Okay, it looks Klingon. It looks like legit attire. The problem is it's not flattering for a guy who's supposed to be like the strongest warrior in Klingon history.
I mean, to me, the only part that I was fine with the outfit per se, just like it was light. And like I'm so used to Klingons are normally wearing dark clothes, so I was like, obviously they kind of did this to make him stand out.
That's true. Why isn't it stained in blood?
Listen, we'll get to that. I did note that the Klingon teeth are very upsetting, especially Kalis's. I don't like them. They give the British a run for their money.
Well, Klingons need sharp teeth. They're carnivores.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, so Koroth is like, who are you? Oh, he comes over after Kalis appears, and he's like, who are you? And then looks between the super realistic painting on the wall of Kalis and the guy standing in front of them, and then like, oh, it's him. And then Kalis wants to know if anyone knows the story of how his sword was forged. But no one knows because it's not in the sacred text. And Kalis is like, oh, I went into the mountains, to the volcano, and he cut off a lock of his hair and threw it in the river of molten rock, and the hair began to burn. And I did know, I was like, even I know burning hair smells bad. So, like, that must have been an absolutely disgusting smelling situation. Boy. Just like burning hair, and isn't like molten rock, isn't that like kind of sulfuric or something?
it can be, yeah.
And that the sulfur stuff
It's
is
lava,
like,
right?
ugh. Yeah, yep. It all just seems bad. Okay, but then he plunged
Like it's
it
clearly
into...
an unrealistic legend.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But then he plunged it into the lake of Luthor and twisted it into the sword. It's a flat, long...
Because
we've
it's
seen
a
this,
legend.
Worf has one. None of it makes sense. But he does use lots of dramatic verbs. And I just was like, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on, but I don't
Even
like it, and I
though
don't buy it.
Your hair would have burnt up into nothing instantly. Like,
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
there would have
Yeah,
been
that part
nothing
bothered
for
me
you
too.
there to forge. But, like, listen, it makes sense as a legend, but for him just to, like... But they're trying to make it like he's a real guy,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and it's like, well, that obviously didn't happen,
Yeah.
because that's not how any of that works.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, yeah, and also, my sword is a name, and it's called Batleth. And they're like, oh, my God, only the high clerics know that story and that name. So when, like, Kalis comes back, they would be like, oh, yeah, he knows the name of the sword, so that's him. And, yeah, it's not written down, it's just been passed on for 1,500 years, I guess. Which honestly, gotta say, is the most accurate and successful broken telephone ever then. So Kalis has
Oh,
And
now
I
returned.
forged this sword, Purple Monkey Dishwasher.
Here's the thing, though. Lots of cultures have an oral tradition, and they and they develop techniques to, like, so that...
To remember.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
so-
listen,
so
I
that
watched
it-
Castlevania.
Yeah.
There's the I can't remember what they're called.
Oh
now
yeah,
all of a sudden.
I don't know what they're called, but like knowledge keepers or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I literally am currently rewatching it, and I've already forgotten what speakers. I think they're called speakers.
They might be, yeah.
No, that doesn't sound right. Oh God, it's a good show.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I know that there's like ways to like keep an oral tradition going.
Yeah, so that it doesn't turn into a purple monkey dishwasher situation.
Yeah. Okay, so Kalis has now returned because there's a great need in his people, and he's back and he's ready to lead. But will Gowron follow him? Probably no. At this point, I was like, oh, Gowron's going to have a big problem with this. But Kalis goes to see Worf, who is putting he's taken out his tricorder to like just make sure that Kalis is real. And Worf's like, could be a shapeshifter or a holographic projection. But no, just a Klingon. sort
Yeah.
of. So Kalis knows Worf's name. Because they met before. Quote unquote, he appeared to Worf in a vision in the caves of Nomad when he was a child. He told Worf that if he would do something that no Klingon would ever be done before. Which, yes, that does happen. But from knowing what we know with this story, how could this can't possibly be true?
Yeah.
This like childhood interaction. This makes
Well,
no
it was a
sense.
vision.
Yeah. Like, my best guess...
But how would he know this?
Oh, because
Well,
he told
okay,
the clerics.
Did he tell... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That would make sense. But still, that's pretty fucking... That's shitty.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole thing is shitty, but anyways, okay. So Worf is, like, skeptical, but he, like, wants to believe, but he's, like, not feeling it yet. But Kalis is confident that everyone, including Gowron, will follow him. And I was like, does he have any plans? What is his... He sounds like a politician in the sense
Yeah.
that he's like, it's gonna be great. You're gonna follow me. Things are gonna be great. We're gonna restore the honor. And I'm like, bro, how?
Yeah.
Like, give me your 5 fucking steps. Like, what is happening? What do you want to do exactly?
Yeah,
Just saying, oh, we're going to restore honor. How? What the fuck is the problem right now? Like, how are you going to restore honor? Or, like, get out corruption just because you're here? Everyone's going to drop their shit. We know that's not happened. That's not realistic. We know some people will drop their shit and run over, but, like, in general, no. And also, that also doesn't get rid of corruption. I mean, I would argue there's a lot more corruption in organized religion. I mean, there's not more. There is a lot of corruption in organized religion.
Yeah.
To some capacity. So it doesn't, just because you have a higher power to believe in, does not immediately, like, wipe the slate clean as much as people want to think it does. That's not how anything fucking works.
Yeah,
and
that's
Kalis doesn't fucking get it either.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was like, okay, you keep talking about, like, how you're gonna restore this and that and whatever, and I'm like you said, how? What's your platform? Like,
what do you believe in? What do you stand for?
Yeah.
Like, how are we supposed to, like, if people just blindly follow you because you were a good warrior, what does that fucking mean? What did he do in the first fucking place to,
here's
like,
the thing.
unite everyone?
Some of this comes from other shit that Maggie and I have both seen regarding the Klingons. And Maggie, I don't know if you'll come around to my point of view on this, but clearly, like, in terms of a writing perspective, they didn't have any idea what he was going to do. The implication is most likely that
I don't know why you think I
there's a big book, there's a big Bible of all the great stuff that Kalis did, and the entire story is about him uniting the Klingon Empire in the first place. And it's easy to surmise, I think, that the implication here is that he would basically do those things, not like, word for word, but he would use the same sort of, like, rhetoric and skill with people that he did in their Bible to unite Klingons once again. Because it's not like their empire is inherently more corrupt or more complicated than it was when he united them 1,500 years ago. So the implication is that he did it once, therefore he is probably capable of doing it again. I'm not saying he's right. No, I'm not saying he's right.
Fucking time.
I don't
what did he do the first time?
No, that's not what we're saying. The point.
No, we're saying
that's
is,
the
like,
point.
how is like, yeah, he says he's gonna do this, but what did he do? Like, how would it even do the first time?
No, I understand that. And that's stuff that is definitely expanded on in later Star Trek when you hear more about, like, stories of Kalis and things that he did and whatnot. But for what they were writing here, obviously they didn't know what those things were, and they probably didn't think that it was important enough to talk about them, because the implication is that everybody who's there, who's part of it, knows and either believes it or doesn't. So what those details are isn't really important to the watcher, because you're not supposed to necessarily agree with him or not.
Yeah,
according to me, I still want to know.
I disagree with that. Like,
yeah, because I
Okay.
want to know what the fucking plan is. I want to know what he did the first time to get people together. Because then if we know what he did the first time, that helps us understand if he's going to do the same thing the second time. But,
and I'm
like,
not disagreeing with your point, Jeff. And, like, I think that's what they thought. I just don't agree that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, yeah, that's totally
me,
fine. That's totally fine. Now, that might have actually been there in the original in the original pitch. I don't know how much of the original pitch was actually written, because like they didn't talk about it as being written as an entire script. It was only mentioned that it was pitched, and that Ronald D. Moore took the idea and was like, "Hey, I know how to turn this into something real interesting," and apparently had a bunch of fights with Michael Piller about how to actually turn it into a story that people would like. And supposedly he came around and like rewrote a fuck ton of the dialogue because it was just way too Jesus before.
It was more
so
Jesus
this is the
before?
less Jesus version of it.
This is Jesus light
Well, apparently
version?
apparently the dialogue was just like extremely just Christian rhetoric rather than something that
Yeah.
sounded Klingon enough.
That was probably a good idea, doing that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the dialogue worked personally.
There is
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
a lot of good
So-
quotes. I did write down a lot of quotes. from
Yeah,
this
yeah.
episode.
It's like the non-specific, like the non-specificity is like just it's like just one of many things. Like it's not, for me at least, it's not like super major. Like cause I get it. They're just going for like generic, like everyone believes in him and everyone, like, I understand having faith that like this person will be able to get it done again. He means so much and that sort of thing.
Yep.
But like it does feel like distinct, like to me, and this is probably personal biases playing in. To me, when I hear someone, especially because they specifically use the word like decadent, they said like the empire is decadent and corrupt.
Yeah.
And like that, to me, whenever someone says like, oh, society has gotten decadent, to me that's just like a dog whistle for like right-wing bullshit.
That's fair. Yeah, I
And-
could see
and-
that being
and-
a personal thing.
Yeah, and a lot of the sort of like vague stuff they say about like, you know, about like why the empire is like bad, and like, you know, we have to remember our roots and return to the old ways. It's like alarm bells kind of start going off in my head, being like, okay, what do you mean by that?
Okay, that's
Like
fair.
what, like, yeah, I just feel like there weren't enough concrete examples of like, maybe at least if they didn't have a solution, if they didn't know like what he was gonna do, like maybe some more concrete examples of like, what exactly do you see as the issues with the empire?
So that I definitely agree with, specifically because I pointed this out in my notes, actually. There are far too many points where several characters that are on Kalis' side, including Kalis himself, instead of actually making a concrete point, they use some sort of platitude. So, like,
Yeah.
one example is when Worf is talking to the the cleric towards the end when they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with him, and the cleric says that he is the last chance to restore hope, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why is he the last chance for it?
Yeah.
It's pretty loosey goosey. There's a lot of like
Yeah, it's-
no
it's a platitude.
explanations. Yeah.
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 Okay, so
I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think this definitely played better in the 90s when people were a lot, like, the general public was a lot more into religion.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
yeah, Kalis wants blind devotion and thinks everyone should follow his orders, no question asked. But Worf is like, I don't know, maybe no. I gotta trust the person giving me commands. And then immediately swords are drawn. And they fight. And,
Worf versus Jesus, Dawn of Justice.
well, actually, I wrote, if Worf accidentally kills Kalis, does he become new Jesus? Does he inherit? I don't, like, how does this work?
He
That would be
kind of
funny.
does, actually. He would become a legend.
Yeah.
But then, Kalis, oh yeah, he like, they stop fighting and Kalis just starts laughing. And he goes, okay, what is wrong? Is there only anger and bloodlust in your soul? Is that all that is left on the Klingon heart? We do not fight merely to spill blood, but to enrich the spirit. Look at us, two warriors locked in battle, fighting for honor. How can you not just sing for all to hear? We are Klingons. And then we get the most lackluster chant
Everyone
of "We
chants.
are Klingons."
I do like that he literally, as describing that as two Klingons locked in battle, but he just stopped the fight in order to have a party instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do...
And
Sorry, I'll let you keep going.
oh no, I just wrote, "Who's watching Alexander?" Like this.
Who?
Listen, we all know Alexander's probably an iPad kid.
Alexander.
A pad to do
That poor kid.
Yeah, I'd agree
I
with that.
actually thought of him multiple times during this episode.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah, where's Alexander?
It's like, what's he doing? Oh God. I can only just assume, like, I just picture Troy reading to him or something.
Sorry, your dad's busy with Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. The Enterprise is going to go to the planet Boroth to pick up... Oh, yeah, Picard and he's like, "Oh, we're going to go pick up an unusual guest." I'm like, "Oh, who's the guest?" And then it's just fucking Kalis. I was like, "Oh, that's a weird introduction. We fucking know who it is already. Like, why did you make it seem like we're getting another person?"
Oh,
Because captain's logs.
I'm like, okay.
it's
so
to remind
Dr.
you what's happening after you come back from the commercial break.
Yes, classic commercial break. Oh yes, okay, Dr. C comes up with like a bunch of theories of who Kalis is, but Worf is like, or maybe he's real and he's back. But Riker is also me in this, and he's like, "Yeah, I think no."
Yeah, Riker gives like the hardest eye roll like I've ever seen.
Yeah. And Picard's like, "Okay, so we don't really have to like figure this out. We're just like bringing him to the home world. Like, be nice, folks."
Yeah.
But then Data rushes over to Worf, and Data says, "In the absence of empirical data, how will you determine whether or not this is the real Kalis?" And Worf says, "It is not an empirical matter. It is a matter of faith." And then Data goes, "Faith? Then you do believe Kalis may have supernatural attributes. And as an android, I am unable to accept that which cannot be proven through rational means. I would appreciate hearing your insights on this matter." And then Worf goes, "Perhaps some other time, Commander. I do not believe I can provide much insight at this moment." And then pieces. It just like walks right out. Oh, and then we see, welcome back Gowron.
Yeah.
Gowron, honestly, this episode was interesting because in the past I always found, I mean, he's a very chaotic character.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I always found he was always screaming a bunch of nonsense, and I was just
Yeah.
always like, "Gowron, shut the fuck up." But this time,
Yeah,
I allow him.
He was
He
like
sounded
low-key
more
right.
articulate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah,
like, "Gowron,
he was subdued. He's more of a
do you need
politician in this one.
I was like, "Do you need help with your soapbox?" Like,
Yeah.
okay, so Gowron thinks that, listen, we got a phony on our hands, and he goes, "Kalis has been dead for 1,000 years, but the idea of Kalis is still alive. Have you ever fought an idea, Picard? It has no weapon to destroy, no body to kill." I was like, "Ooh, that's a great place to like end the quote," but the rest of it is like, "The idea of Kalis will return must be stopped here now, or it will travel through the Empire like a wave and leave nothing but destruction behind." I don't disagree, but Gowron's like, "Hey, I want to do a DNA test." He's got a knife of Kiram, which apparently has the blood of original Kalis on it. And current Kalis is like, "Yeah, let's fucking do it." Dr. C does the test. Samples are identical.
Yeah.
So
Found out he was that bitch.
yeah. Worf is shook. I wrote that so many times in my notes. Listen, Worf's just like having revelation after revelation
Yeah.
this episode.
Because I don't know. Did we establish that like the whole point is that like Worf, like, he says he never really truly believed in like Sto-vo-kor and Kalis and all that stuff. So this is very interesting of him like wanting to believe, and like his skepticism, like, you know,
Well, I think,
coming
like,
through and
'cause-
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like earlier he says like he got like after telling all the kids about all this, he kind of like got pumped up by his own inspirational speeches, I guess.
Yeah, and
And
he
so
realized that
this is,
he
like-
didn't believe like they did.
And maybe he wants to believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so Worf has a drink with Kalis, and he's like, "Oh, the replicator doesn't do justice to Klingon Warnog." And I noted that Kalis makes like a weird face, like he enjoyed the drink, but like wouldn't know any better.
Yeah.
So I clocked this like immediately.
Nice.
I was like, "What's going on here?" It was like subtle, but also like what's going on? This is something seems
I,
off.
I knew what was going
Like,
on,
Kayla-
so I was kind of looking for signs to see what the
He
episode
makes,
did
like, this
to imply
face.
it. I did
he-
notice that one, but I didn't note anything about it. But the other one that I actually noticed was earlier on when the cleric is questioning who Kalis is for the first time, and he's doing it with like really fakely, like his acting is terrible in it, and I think that's on purpose. Like I think it's supposed to be like, oh, he knows what's going on, so he's just really badly performing this. Like, what? There's no way you could be him. Yeah.
Yeah. But Kalis's answer is like, oh, it's been so long since I've had any like food or drink. And I'm just like, what have you been doing for 1,000 years, girl? Like what or 1,500 years, like truly. But Worf is asking the big questions here. He gets his one-on-one time with Kalis and he goes, what awaits us beyond this life? And Kalis goes, I do not have those answers. I am merely a traveler, someone who has journeyed back and forth between this world and the next. While I'm in this form, I only know about this world. And I was like, that sounds like a bit of a
Convenient.
cop-out.
Yeah.
And then Kalis is like, we got shit to do, and Worf will be part of it because it was Worf's pure heart which brought him back from the other world. I'm like, oh, so, and then he's like, come Worf, hear my plans. I'm like, oh, so only Worf gets to hear his plans? Because then we cut to like another side of Worf's face, and now we're with Gowron. And Gowron's like arguing with Worf because he's like, this is like gonna be kind of low-key mutiny because Koroth and the other Guardians like never liked him and they kind of just want to get rid of him to put in
Yeah, they're using him
Kalis.
as like a political puppet.
Yeah, we got a mutiny in Klingon.
To be
right
fair,
now.
in that scene, Gowron sounds paranoid.
He does,
But he's not
definitely.
fucking wrong. But he's not wrong.
No, I know that,
Yeah.
but he sounds paranoid.
Yeah. For
Listen,
sure.
I was on board with Gowron in this point. I was on board with him the whole time this episode, I'm going to be honest.
We get it. You're paranoid.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I
is,
am
like,
paranoid. This is a known thing about me. Listen, my anxiety keeps me up. This is known.
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
so
And the thing is like, it's weird that, like, Gowron, he's, like... I mean, he's pretty much right in this episode, but he's right for the wrong reasons.
Oh, yes, definitely.
okay, so then Gowron's like, okay, the believers and the doubters, they're going to come out and they're already going to see division. It's going to be bad. And then he points out that, like, of course they want Worf on, like, their Team Kalis because his brother is on the council and Worf's voice himself carries some weight in the Empire. I did not remember that Worf's brother was on the council. I was like, oh, hey, a low-key mention. How is he doing?
Kern? He's kerning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that Tony Todd, right?
Getting real close to that,
That's right.
to that next letter there.
Ooh, boy.
Little
okay.
typography joke for
Yeah.
y'all.
So Gowron's like, Worf, they want to use your influential powers for evil. And also, Worf, my guy, remember when we were comrades, when we fought on the same team? Let's fucking team up again. Come to my side. But Worf is like, no, sorry. As of this moment, I am Team Kalis. But Gowron is like, Koroth, I see that. Oh my god. This I laughed. Okay, so now we're in what I thought was the sanctuary. Turns out it was the holodeck.
Yeah.
For the rest of this, I kept writing sanctuary because I thought they still went into the caves. Nope. They say later, they're like, oh yeah, nope, they're on the holodeck. I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But they have the holodeck set up like it's the cave.
Yeah. Because they're on their way to the Klingon homeworld.
Yes, yeah. So Gowron goes up to Koroth and is like, Koroth, I see that not all fools die young. That was very good.
Yeah, that was a good line.
So then Kalis comes into the holodeck and they try to introduce him to Gowron, but Kalis pulls like a huge power move and just like goes past him and ignores him, just goes straight to the throne. And then Kalis tells this story about this guy who like didn't want to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh yeah, like finding shelter in a storm. And yeah, the guy who made dumb decisions was like, oh, I will stand before the wind and make it respect me. This man was killed in a storm.
Yeah.
And so Kalis, I did like this line. He's like, talking to Gowron, he's like, the wind does not respect a fool. Do not stand before the wind, Gowron. I was like, ooh boy. But Garon pulls an Uno reverse, and he's like, what was his name?
Yeah.
The guy in the story? Describe him. What was he wearing? How tall was he? And in one of the best deliveries of a line I've heard in a very long time, he screams what color were his eyes. I can't do it justice.
Yeah.
It is truly an incredible line delivery.
I forget.
I will say,
always forget the actor's
it's weird
name.
emphasis. The emphasis is on really weird parts, but Gowron, the actor who plays Gowron, is so
Maggie,
good in this episode.
It's Robert O'Reilly.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Robert O'Reilly just has great delivery in general.
Oh yeah.
This
Like he
episode,
really
though, he was great.
overacts, but goddamn, when he brings it home, does he ever?
Oh yeah. Well, listen, Gowron was great this episode. It was a good time. So Kayla says, I don't remember. It was a long time ago, in another lifetime. What matters is I have returned to restore faith and hope to my people, to lead them back to the way of honor and the glory that once was theirs and can be again.
See, that's a meaningless platitude, like I was talking
Yeah,
about.
that's nothing. Like you've literally talked yourself in a circle. Congratulations.
Yeah. It's also a pretty classic manipulation tactic to like answer a question by telling some like weird rambling story that doesn't actually answer the question.
Yeah. But Gowron will not bend the knee. But now he also wants to fight Kalis, which is like, fine, I guess. Okay, the fight, honestly, low-key kind of lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very short and not that exciting.
But Gowron gets like the upper hand and knocks Kalis down, and he's like ready to go for the kill, but Worf steps in. And Gowron's like, oh, so you're like the best warrior? Sure, Jan. Okay. So then immediately after this fight, Karoth and this other guy, they go into this other room, and then they're like, we gotta like tell everyone that like Gowron cheated or did something like dishonorable. We need to discredit this one. And Worf's like, that's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
And then Karoth is like, we do not need to hear any more from the son of Moog. None of this would have happened if you had not brought them together. That makes no sense to me, because they would have had to meet at some point.
Yeah.
They obviously would have had to meet each other. One is the fucking leader, and the other is the possible fucking leader. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's like when you hear that, it's like they immediately try to spin what happened, and Worf's like, no, what the fuck? We're not lying about what happened. Immediate alarm bells.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, this would look bad or whatever. But Worf is like, there is no future here. No glorious new era for our people. Gowron was right. You did not know the name of the man who faced the storm. You did not even know the real Warnog tastes like. And you certainly are not the greatest warrior of all. I was like, oh, yes, I paid attention for once. Validation. That was validation for me.
Yeah, that you spotted the drink thing.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so okay. Sorry. To continue the line, whoever you are not Kalis. And then Karoth goes, "You've said enough. Now get out." And Worf says, "You are using the name of Kalis for some twisted game. For that alone, you should die. And if you do not tell me what you have done, I will kill you right here." And Karoth is like, "This is gonna ruin the tour."
Yeah.
Nice.
Which tour?
The world tour. So good. Kalis is a clone.
Yeah.
Which honestly I did not see coming. I knew that he wasn't, like, he could not be the correct, like, the real thing, but I was not expecting him to be a clone.
Oh, did you have a guess as to what the
No,
answer
I had
would
no
be?
idea. I kept thinking about it. I was like, obviously he's not really the, like,
Not really
Caliph of time past, but I did not know what I had a little theory. I thought it was like some kind of shapeshifter that could like change their DNA, because I'm like, that seems like it was something that TNG would do. But that was kind of my only guess.
Yeah.
But I was honestly like, plot twist. I got Uno reversed. Jesus.
Yeah, just a straight up clone sound. It's a little unconvoluted for Star Trek.
You know what's funny? If you had seen this, I think when it was topical, you probably would have been like, oh yeah, that trope. Because at the time, this was like a fairly big trope. They did it in a bunch of sci-fi around then. Also, it was becoming real sci around then too. So
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, they got me.
Like, I think Dolly was cloned only a couple years after this.
Oh, Dolly. Well, they got me. I was, like, shocked. I enjoyed that twist. This is probably maybe one of the most surprised I've been from the show. But also, I thought of Alexander again at this part because Kalis is just kind of sitting there quietly because he didn't fucking know. He's like innocent in all this. He didn't know what the fuck was happening. He didn't know he was a clone, that Koroth just like made him in a fucking lab. And
Kalis has very little agency in this episode.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
yeah, for
that,
like honestly
especially-
for like this chunk, he just kind of sits there quietly and he looks sad,
Yeah.
and it made me think of Alexander.
Yeah, especially in this scene, they're deciding a lot of shit for a guy who's sitting right there.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would assume like if he's got some kind of like conscious thought, he's probably freaking the fuck out. He probably is like short circuited there of like, oh my god, what the fuck is this? What am I? What is this? He just like shuts down there basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they like took organic material from the original Kalis, and they were waiting all these years for the right technology to come around, and it fucking did. So they like programmed him to know shit about the original Kalis, and it's actually like pretty sad. And Kalis he was made in a lab, and then when he was ready, they brought him into a cave, and Worf saw him, and he's just like super genetically modified. Gross. And Worf initially finds this hilarious, and Worf is pissed, and I just wrote, "Get her, Jade." So Koroth is a fake and a phony, and I think we all wish we never laid eyes on him. And he goes, "How do you know that this was the way the prophecy was to be fulfilled? Who is to say that what we did was wrong?" And Worf goes, "I am."
Yeah, I immediately thought of you when he said that. I'm like, that's because you say that all the time. Like we'll be having like a discussion of like, who's to say what's wrong and what's right, and you'll be like, me.
Me. I did love this. I was like, yes, Worf. But also, I mean, I'm guessing this is kind of the point of the whole episode of like the irony of they're like, oh, we gotta like clean up the corruption and the bad morals and all this shit, when they literally fucking made a guy and are planning to lie to fucking everyone.
Yeah.
Like the calls coming from inside the house, you guys. Like,
Yeah, seriously.
what is happening? But Koroth is like, Worf, you can't tell Gowron. Think of what it could do to my baby god clone.
Yeah.
But no. So then Data goes to see Worf in the holodeck, and Data's like, well, since you don't believe this is like real Kalis, will this like fuck up your already shaky beliefs in which you were already questioning at the beginning of this episode? And do you believe real Kalis could possibly come back? And Worf's just like, I don't know. I do not know. And then Data gives his whole kind of backstory, which, okay, I found a little confusing in the sense of like, I won't read the whole thing. It's like kind of long, even though I wrote the whole thing. But basically, Data was like it was explained to Data when he first like woke up in Omicron Theta that like, oh, he's an android. That's it. And he like had to believe in himself.
Yeah,
that he was more than a robot, and he was like a leap of faith. Which like earlier he was asking Worf about faith, and I'm like, but you talk about it now.
Yeah.
I'm like, Data, this is confusing.
But that's the point, because he didn't realize it earlier.
But now but like this is something that he said that his like leap of faith earlier. He was like, oh, Worf, tell me about you're taking like your faith. And then he's like, okay, but like I did take a leap of faith back in the day. I'm like, the writers have got me a little confused here. I mean, it doesn't super matter. But
Listen, I don't think they should get credit for this, because I just think they weren't thinking about it. But you could argue that maybe after their first conversation, Data made the connection in his head that what he did is akin to a leap of faith.
Yeah, Maggie. They did have that in. It was dropped.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so they do get credit for it then.
Yeah, it's one of the couple of cut lines in this episode. The episode ran quite a bit long.
For once, my because I guess like I always tend to try to make it make sense even if it actually doesn't, and I actually
You did it.
I did it.
You did it this time.
Yeah, this is one of the few episodes where it actually points out several things that were left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, some of these lines were needed, but I mean, here we are. I shouldn't be surprised. Okay, so then like Worf then tells Gowron the truth, and Gowron is like death to everyone in this room basically, but I was like, Kalis does not deserve the death because he didn't fucking know. Let him like go out and live his own life. He had nothing to. He had no
he didn't have
choice
a choice
in any of this.
in this.
He has no agency in this. He's just kind of there, and he doesn't deserve to die. He should just be allowed to go and like live and make his own memories. But then
change his name to Thomas or something.
Yeah. And Worf tells Gowron that like, oh, listen, Worf has been brainstorming at some point during this episode because he comes up with some plans, and he's like, oh, Gowron, the people need to believe in something to be united. They need to believe in something bigger than themselves. So I'm like, okay, so is like Gowron gonna team up with Kalis? They're gonna become like bros? We're gonna have we're gonna see a buddy comedy? They're gonna team up? And Worf says, despite the facts, they will still believe. I'm like, that is one of the most depressing lines I think I've ever heard in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Is just, despite the facts, they will still believe. Oh yeah, because Gowron's like, but what if we don't tell people, or we do tell everyone the whole thing? And Worf's like, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Because we're literally, this is half the thing fucking going on now.
And the thing, like, oof, yeah. I mean, if there isn't a commentary for, like toxic religious shit, it's that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's like, I do kind of get what he's saying in that, like, not that, like, they'll believe it's Kalis, just like, you know, they'll be like, oh, he's a clone, fake news. It'll be like, the fact that he is a clone does not matter to them because like because one of the things that I think, what is it, Koroth, the head priest guy or whatever, he was like, you know, one of the things I agree with him on sort of is like, you know, how do you know that this isn't the way that the prophecy was going to be fulfilled, that like someone eventually made a clone of him and that's how he returns, which I don't think is necessarily wrong. And I think a lot of other people will see it that way, which is, I think, probably what Worf is getting at.
But in terms of, like, what he's actually saying, like, that's just a cop-out. Like, he doesn't believe it when he's saying it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, then Worf's like, hey, I have a pitch. Hear me out. What if Kalis is the Emperor? Okay, there has been an Emperor for 3 centuries. And they're like, hey, if he's the Emperor, then like the political power will remain with the High Council, and Kalis would just be basically a figurehead. And Kalis has already got basically the instruction manual of like the original and could like share the wisdom with the people. And Worf is like, we gotta tell everyone, we gotta tell the real truth, even though we gotta say this is the real Kalis, but he is the rightful heir to Kalis. And Gowron's like, if I disagree, and then Worf's like, then my brother will hear about this. Then my brother and those who support him on the council will fight you, and I will fight you, and the Emperor will fall back into civil war. And Kalis is like, I'm down with this. I can roll. This works for me. I'm like, yeah, because you're about to become a fucking Emperor. You're gonna have a great time. I mean, that's fine, I guess. I mean, him as the person, I'm fine with. It just, like, I don't know. The
this whole idea kind of sucks.
Is really fucked up. And I just, wow, Worf saved the Empire. Good job, Worf, I guess.
Well, they basically, like, turned him into, he went from being Klingon Jesus to Klingon Pope. Yeah. Basically.
Oh, yeah.
He's, like, the spiritual leader of the Klingon Empire now.
And so then Kalis is like, hey, Gowron, come on. Let's fucking go. Let's do this. And then Gowron is like...
there, Gowron.
Gowron's like, fine, I'm fucking on board.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we go to we're in the transporter room, and Worf is saying goodbye to Kalis. But Worf is bummed because he basically went to Boroth to find his faith, and all he got was this t-shirt. No,
Yeah.
he left with an empty heart.
All they got was this clone Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kalis says, Kalis left us, all of us, a powerful legacy, a way of thinking and acting that makes us Klingon. If his words hold wisdom and his philosophy is honorable, what does it matter if he returns? What is important is that we follow his teachings. Perhaps the words are more important than the man. And then Worf again looks shook, and then he's like, yeah, lots to think about, Worf.
It's a good closing
It
line,
is,
but
it
like
also...
at the same time, it really sucks that this guy has just like accepted how worthless he is near immediately.
It is like honestly a bummer, because then also to me this is just, I don't know, this all, like, I didn't dislike this episode, it just was like kind of a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
It is. No, you're right. It is a bummer. Because Worf doesn't get what he wants in the end.
Yeah, we're right back to the beginning. Like, Worf still hasn't found his faith, and I'm wondering if now this, like, is, if anything, with this pushes him more away from faith, which is fine. But will this be something that comes back, or we just never see this again? And I think also this just is like, I don't know, very... It's just very Christianity to me, and it was like kind of a lot.
Do you want me to tell you if it comes back or not?
His like
or
religiousness.
Do you want to leave that to a mystery?
I guess I don't know. Maybe leave it a mystery, and I'll find out.
Okay,
I guess
it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's inescapable how like Christian coded and like Christian inspired and everything is. Like, this whole episode is, and the whole, like, storyline and stuff.
Because, like, some of it, though, just got me, like, not angry, just kind of, like, we'll say peeved. Mm-hmm. It just is, like, this is, like, so much of what goes on in the world now, and I just, like, don't have patience for some of this stuff already, that, like, then to hear it again in this.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm kind of happy that Worf did not, like, go, like, lean in and just, like, joined with this by the end, because I was like Worf can still find his faith, that's fine, I have no problem with people finding faith, but like initially, like, it looked like he was gonna blindly follow for a second, and I'm glad he was
ready to,
but then like it is nice to know that Worf still has critical thinking.
Yeah.
And stands up for what he still believes in. Because when they were like, oh, we're gonna like tell everyone, nope, Gowron fucking cheated. And Worf's like, no, that's not fucking true. And he's like literally right in front of Klingon Jesus.
Yeah.
And so Worf's ideals change, but he does stick with them as they change, I guess.
Yeah, I will tell you one thing I appreciate about this episode and like Kalis and sort of the Klingon religion, at least as depicted in this episode. They welcome questions, and they welcome they're like, oh, you want proof? Okay, I'll do whatever it is to prove to you, because a lot like Christianity specifically does this. A lot of other religions do this, especially like the more toxic, like especially really toxic religions. Is that it's like no questions. It's like you have to have faith, and if you ask for proof, then you're just not faithful enough, and you know, it'll never, like, the truth will only be revealed if you truly believe, and all that fucking garbage, which I can't fucking stand, and is I think that's like the main, one of the main things that I think makes a religion or any sort of organization toxic, is like you're not allowed to question anything, and you get ostracized if you do. You get pushed as an outsider and stuff, and they didn't really do that. Like, you know, he was like Kalis, he wasn't like, oh, how dare you try to examine me with a tricorder, you don't believe me. He was like, no, go ahead. And he's
Yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
go ahead, I'll do your DNA test. Like,
The other guys weren't happy about it. But
but it's important to remember that
himself
Kahless, at least until the moment that he discovers he's not, is a true believer in himself as well.
yeah. And I think, like, I don't know if they were specifically going for this. I'll give them the benefit of doubt and say that it might have been in their head, but, like, I think it is a low-key, a critique of, like, how, religious leaders, like, misconstrued the messages of, like, whoever they're looking up to, right? Like,
It might actually be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could definitely see Ron Moore doing that. Like, keeping in mind, Ron Moore has done a lot of things throughout Trek after this that have to do
Yeah.
with religion. Most notably, a lot of the exploration of religion with the Bajorans, and you can see very similar themes in those.
yeah. And it just reminds me of something from Jesus Christ Superstar, which is I love the 70s, like, film musical. In the first song of the show is, like, Judas singing about how he doesn't like where things are going and stuff, and so in the song he has a line about talking about Jesus. He's like, you've begun to matter more than the things you say, which is, like, a very common criticism of Christianity, where it's, like, it's very Jesus focused, of, like, it's very Jesus, except they don't actually follow, like, what his teachings were, or, like, supposed teachings, right? Where, like, you know, Jesus is, like, you know, his whole deal is, like, he befriends, well, okay, Mary Magdalene was never a sex worker. They're two separate characters, but I think they got molded into one character eventually in sort of the different rewritings of the Bible. Mary Magdalene, I mean. But anyway, but the story is that, like, you know, he treats sex workers with respect. He feeds the poor. He, like, is, you know, stands up against oppression and all this shit. Like, a lot of the words are, like, shit that is very contradictory to what, like, super conservative and, like, Christian evangelicals especially, like, do and say.
Yes.
So it's like they care about Jesus, but not what actually Jesus said, you know? So I think that's kind of what they're going for here with the K-less thing of, like, you know, maybe, like, it doesn't matter, like, it matters what I said, like, not who I am, sort of thing.
I mean, it is coming from a cult of his return, so it makes sense that the cult is more dedicated to him as a person than to the things he was actually teaching.
Yeah. And I do like, one other thing I liked about sort of K-less's philosophy and stuff is, like, when he interrupted that fight with Worf to be like, you know, like, hey, how come you guys look all so sad and stuff? And it's like, oh yeah, it does kind of harken back that, like, sort of the fighting and the ritualness of it was meant for spiritual enrichment and not just to be, like, you know, caveman butt head together. Because, like, I mean, there are cultures on Earth that have, like, ritualized fighting and stuff, and it's part of a spiritual practice and stuff. So it's not totally outlandish that, like, Klingons might have that thing, but again, like, over the years, it's just been about more, like, they seem to have lost that aspect of it.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring this up a bit earlier before you started, and I hope it doesn't seem a little too off topic. It's something that I would like to talk about more when we get into DS9, but I wanted to bring it up a little bit now because I figure that this is probably one of the strongest examples of Worf having this at this point in the series, and that's that there's something in Klingon culture that gets thrown around a lot, and that's honor. And it's interesting because so many of the Klingon villains that we see are completely without honor, from the sense of, you know, the way that we as humans understand the word honor, but also so many Klingon heroes have been without it as well. And
Yeah.
it just seems like honor is this, like, very weakly defined thing. And then in this episode, they actually do mention that Kalis supposedly laid out, like, the code of honor for people, or for the Klingons, rather. And it's interesting because as Star Trek goes on, we will see much more of this. But in this example, we see Worf choosing honor, choosing, being honest, being truthful as the most important thing. And there's a difference between what Klingons seem to see as honor when we go through the rest of Star Trek. Honor is more like clout to many Klingons, but Worf has his own personal sense of honor, and that's something that I think is really respectable about him as a character. And this is a great example of it here, because everyone else who tries to make a decision there is doing it for their own gain. Gowron is doing it for his own gain. The clerics are doing it for their own gain. Kalis isn't even fucking saying anything, but Worf is saying, no, we have to do this because this is the morally correct thing to do. And it's like, that's good on Worf. I really like that they're bringing that portion of his character so strongly to the forefront here.
Oh, for sure. I think it fits in with the character development we've seen of him, of like, at first he was like gung-ho about the Empire and was like, being like, being a Klingon amongst humans, he's like, really attached to, anything Klingon. He's attached to the Empire. He has this romantic view of it. And then, we get those series of episodes where he loses his faith in the Empire.
Yeah.
Right? And I think he's sort of continuing with that, with like, he cares about the Empire, but he doesn't have the rose-colored glasses on about it.
They
they
do go back to that a bunch in DS9, and he kind of takes a step back in that regard, because they need to have more Klingon stories, and like, I get why, but at the same time it's a little frustrating that some of his developments gets lost.
Yeah, for sure. But also, like, sometimes people are like that. Sometimes they go back and forth on things, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's a line, I think it was in TNG. Sorry, this is related to what we're talking about. I'll be quick. Gowron tells him, like, oh, if you do this, you won't have, like, anything left. Your family will have nothing. You'll be an outcast. You won't have anything. You will have zero. And Worf just kind of turns back to him and says, accept my honor. And I really, really like that, because like that highlights the differences in Worf's definition of what honor is here, and I like that they're just putting it on display so much. Yeah,
and one of the things I wanted to point out too is that, like, that whole thing about how everyone sort of has their own definition of honor, and it's not really like this concrete thing. That's the thing that happens in real life with religion, too.
Oh, definitely.
Where it's like, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, and he's like, here's 10 rules laid out real specific, like, about what you need to do to just, be a good person and get into heaven and whatever. And people still interpret those commandments in really fucked up ways.
Yep.
Or like, not even necessarily fucked up, but just wrong. Or different. So here's a mild example, right? So one of the commandments is like, don't take the Lord's name in vain. Whereas like a lot of like this is mostly like boomer generation, but a lot of like boomer Christians will be like, that means you can't say God damn. That's taking the Lord's name in vain. It's not. Taking the Lord's name in vain means like being like, oh, I did this because God told me to. That's taking the Lord's name in vain. Although it's pretty fucked when you look at the 10 Commandments, so like the first 3 are all about like, hey, like, keep remembering how cool I am. And, it's like, don't worship anyone else. Make sure to take my special day off. And like, don't take my name in vain. I don't remember all of them, as you've probably
Well,
There's something
gathered by now.
about don't covet your neighbor's wife.
Yeah, yeah.
That's that one.
the thing is, depending on the book, the commandments are different. So there's that.
Yeah.
Well,
Also, it's like it's been like rewritten so many times.
Have
That's
you guys
right,
ever
yeah.
seen?
And I mean, the point is,
and-
it's also been
and-
translated
yeah.
so many times.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen History of the World Part 1?
Yes. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it just makes me think of when Mel Brooks is going up the mountain and he's got three
these
things
15
and then he drops one and it breaks. He's like 10 commandments.
These 15 crash. These 10 commandments.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think I haven't watched it yet, but he did finally do
A part 2, yeah.
part
it was like a
2?
mini series. I haven't watched it yet.
yeah. But one of the clips
I've
in the
heard mixed
trailer
things.
was from the Council of Nicaea, which if you don't know what that is, basically I don't remember the time period, but at a certain point the Catholic Church sat down and was like, okay, we are going to decide once and for all what's in the Bible and what's not, and what we want to keep in there. So
What's canon?
Yeah, what's canon, literally, because that's where the term canon comes from.
I know.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
Just clarifying
Oh,
for
that's
the
funny.
audience.
Wow.
Yeah, so
And for me.
yeah. So there's so much shit that like used to be in the Bible but is no longer in the Bible since then. Shit that's been translated all sorts of ways. Shit that was like purposefully rewritten to, have a certain agenda and all that sort of shit. So
Any good shit that they don't include that's like pretty hilarious that we know of?
not that I can think of.
There are some, cults, I guess you would say, that are actually dedicated to non-canon books of the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if this is a Council of Nicaea thing, but I know that there's like a see, I don't know if this is true or if this is a thing people made up. In that like there's a whole thing about Adam's first wife, Lilith, or whatever, and it's like, God got rid of Lilith because she was like just she wasn't like subservient enough, basically. That's like how the story goes.
There was, what do you call it?
Because he created them as equals.
that was in the Bible.
Yeah. No, it's not in the Bible.
No, I almost asked that.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
like zoned out for a second.
There was
Like, I
actually
know that
a cult of Judas at one point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there is a Gospel of Judas, which is like a very old Judas book. I think that's the one that what do you call it? They found like bits and pieces of, and they haven't been able to like completely piece it together. But the thing is, there were lots of there was lots of stuff going on in the 90s because there was like a whole bunch of it that got unearthed all at once in the same
I think
same area.
That's when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, right?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So
yeah.
This is part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So anyway, it turned out that like it was all like translated about a decade later, and despite the fact that there was so much stuff that happened in the 90s regarding like pop culture latching onto these things and like writing stories about like, oh, how crazy is this stuff gonna do, and most of it like was just pretty innocuous. It was just like, oh, they left this out because it was a lot of repeats or just like slightly different versions of stuff that had already been said.
Yeah, because
That's interesting. I mean, I knew that there was like I knew that there's like stuff that didn't make it in. I didn't realize there was like a formal meeting about it though.
Yeah.
No, they had a formal meeting about it, where they're like, okay, because before that, basically like every pope, like before that, and I think probably even still after that, they're like, okay, it's my turn. I get to decide what is in the Bible and what it all means.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so they put the council together and they're like, okay, we're gonna finalize this, and just decide once and for all what's canon and what's not.
God, I hate that.
Yeah.
Just like these people who have no qualifications for any nobody. God, sorry,
I mean,
religion
they
is
were
a
like
weird- is-
high priests and shit, so
Yeah, but what do you do to like earn that?
That's true.
That's no qualification. Like, it's just, you've decided you're gonna fucking do that. You've decided that there is nothing. There's just these guys who just decide shit that has like caused so much. I don't know. It's just fucking.
So
this is not a hot take. It's just
no.
Like a thing of like, who are these fucking guys?
Yeah,
Even
it's
the
like
Pope. The Pope means fucking nothing to me.
Yeah, who are
like,
you?
He's just some guy. He's just some guy.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything other than just like believe in Jesus real hard.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I think
I was gonna say, here's your reward. I mean, he's the Pope, but like.
Yeah. I mean, I think
It's
in
just
order
like-
to qualify to be a pope or like to move up in the church, like you do have to do some stuff. There's probably requirements about like how much like
I mean, to
charity
me,
work
the
you've done,
requirements,
but like it's still
but the
not.
requirements have got to be pretty thin, because they let the guy before, who apparently was in like something adjacent to the Hitler Youth. So I think qualifications are real loosey goosey here. So
Yeah.
it's all kind of meaningless to me. I mean,
Yeah.
like I personally,
Listen.
I do not believe in a higher power. The fact that I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast, but the fact that there are hospitals dedicated specifically for children is exactly why I don't believe there is a God or a higher power. Because in what universe would it be okay that like a 3-year-old has fucking cancer? Like, it's not okay that anyone has cancer, but like, or you have like a baby that's brought into this world that is like incredibly ill and lives in pain for 2 weeks and then dies. Like, what kind of, if there was a higher power, if there was a God, why would they allow that? If they're and also it makes me fucking crazy when people win like an award or a sport game and they're like, oh, I want to thank God. No, because that's an implication that God has a favoritism towards you and everyone else could fuck off. That's what that means to me. And so like the higher power in it, I do not believe it. I mean, I know it brings comfort to people. They're like, oh, it's I know it brings comfort to people. I don't fucking get it, because that, if anything, that means that if there is a higher power, they're doing a fucking bad job.
Yeah.
They fucking suck.
And it's just...
So what are we believing in someone for?
Yeah.
They're not good at their job. God is the weather, is the meteorologist of life. If that makes sense.
Because like and I'll be honest, I don't really believe in a higher power either. I sort of... I have a sort of belief in sort of the power of the universe, and I don't mean like, oh, you can like, not manifestation shit or whatever, but just like, not that anything's like guiding it, but that there's a lot that is beyond us that we don't understand. But I don't believe
that's
in
why
like
space freaks me out.
yeah. So like, and I'm of a type that I'm of like. Here's the thing, it's like, if you want to believe and that gives you comfort and that helps you in your life and all that stuff, that's all fine and dandy, but it's used as such a tool of oppression. It's really hard to like separate all of that, all the destruction it's done, and separate that with like whatever personal gain people bring, people get from it, you know?
I agree, because just to clarify, I have no issue with like, well, not no issue, but like, it's fine. Other people, you want to believe in God, you want to believe in Jesus, you want to believe in whoever you want, that's fine. I don't understand how.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's got their own reasons. Like, I've got my reasons for not, as I've said, for not believing, and people have their reasons that brings them comfort, whatever. And that's fine. You believe in God, I'm not going to be like, well, fuck you, you monster. No, it's fine. I personally, I can't do it, because there's too many things. How could you how could the Holocaust have happened? How could have all these slavery? How could have all this shit just like be allowed to have happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's a billion things that have happened through history. If there was a higher power, you would have think someone was step in at some point.
Yeah. And I remember seeing this one TikTok of someone saying that it was like, even if it was true, even if like the Christian God version of God existed, I would not worship him, because the like I don't care if they're the all-powerful being. What the rules set out in the way that, like, Christianity and especially Christian evangelicalism lays it out is fucked. And I'm
I
like,
mean, to be fair, I would get, I'd be excluded real fast anyways.
yeah.
But yeah,
It's just like, yeah, if the God that they believe in exists, I wouldn't worship them because their God is fucked.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't care if you created me. No thanks.
Yeah. Like as you said, I agree with you. The fact that like there are things that we don't understand. And that's fine. I because of my anxiety, I would like to understand stuff, but I do have to, you know, it's like every time I'm like go near or in the ocean, I'm like, who is she? What has she done?
Yeah.
What's in there? And that gives me a lot of anxiety, but I know I will never really know what's fully in the ocean, but we're still gonna, space freaks. I mean, everyone's heard me freak out about space before on this podcast. It's
I hesitate to mention this, but I think by the time if it ever actually happens, you'll probably forget. But I've always wanted to do like a PowerPoint night. And and one of the ideas I had was space facts, specifically that'll make Dory have an existential crisis.
that's oh my god. Listen, I'm down for that. Yeah. I mean, I will allow other people joy at my expense.
Yeah. I also went back and forth on it, and I'm like, okay, this seems fun, but also is it like putting you out on the spot too much or whatever?
No, it's okay. Yeah. Listen, at work there was we do trivia on the last Thursday of every month, and there was literally so my friend does the categories, and she literally made a category that she called like musical questions that I'm hoping Dory won't get. Like, and she announced that to the office. That's that really like funny. That was the category. It was like I got 4 out of 5 correct.
Nice.
So joke's on you. But yeah, so you don't have to feel bad about that. This was publicly done in my office, which like I wasn't embarrassed because like got him right. But yeah, so it's
just to let you know, I did take that into consideration. That's like, would this be something that Dory's okay with, like being like called out for in front of people?
Listen, 100% go for it. You are more than welcome to make a PowerPoint of space facts that will fuck me up, because also I'll learn something. Whether I want to or not. No, I'm kidding. No, I do like to learn.
There's one I've been dying to tell you, which you may already know, but I just want to tell you. Okay. The Earth is losing the moon.
What does that mean?
It means that the moon is slowly drifting away from Earth, and one day we will not have the moon.
What will happen to the water? Oh my god, this is when everyone's going to figure out what's underwater. The fucking tides are going to go crazy. Yeah. Oh god,
well we're not
okay.
going to have tides.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That'll fuck up a lot of shit.
Oh my god.
And we won't have eclipses
anymore.
Oh,
I mean, that doesn't happen super often.
Yeah.
I mean, the last one was cool.
Yeah.
But, like, oh no. Okay, but, like, why?
Like billions of years. So.
But, like, why is it floating away?
Because that's just how the orbit of the moon is. It's like the way it's orbiting. It's just slowly getting, like, further and further away.
Okay, this might be a dumb question, but we're not going to it doesn't affect nighttime date. No, because that's the sun. Never mind. That's a dumb question. It's not moon related. Moon does not control the nighttime. No, it's the sun and Earth moving.
Yeah.
Their rotation. Okay, so we still will have nighttime.
Yeah.
We just wouldn't see the moon. Would we be alive?
The Earth will be much more susceptible to meteor hits.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Does the moon stop that from happening or prevent?
Yeah. Have you seen the other side of the moon? There are so many impact craters.
Although I think Jupiter makes a bigger difference.
What do you mean the other side of the moon? What do you mean?
We always see the same side of the moon because the way that it rotates is the same as its as its orbit around the Earth.
Did you not realize that like that's why they call it the dark side of the moon, because it never faces Earth.
I didn't think of it literally. I just knew the Pink Floyd album, but I didn't think of it literally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there are some massive impact craters on the other side.
Yeah.
Now I kind of want to see it, but also I don't want to see it.
And because the moon has its own gravitational pull as well, it attracts things towards it.
But
wait, so hold on, back up. You said Jupiter stops? Does Jupiter have its own? How does Jupiter stop?
Well, because Jupiter's so big, it attracts a lot to itself. So a lot of like meteors and shit like get caught in Jupiter's gravity and shit. Like so it stops them from getting further into the solar system. So like anything from like the outside coming in, it like Jupiter has
Jupiter's like the first line
a lot
of
that, yeah.
They're the first line, and then the moon is the second line.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, and like other planets too. Like there's a possibility.
They're all taking. They're taking one for us. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh no. Oh god. Wait. Okay. So
I mean, that's one of the reasons that there are some doubt as to like whether life exists somewhere else in the universe, because like it's statistically probable.
Yeah, I believe it. I don't know what it is, but there's gotta be.
But the possibility of it reaching our level of development is much more slim, because it just happens to be that the particular makeup of our solar system and size of our planet and position of our planet happens to make the existence of life on Earth such a like basically we have like 40 fucking things helping us stay alive in the solar system. And there are so few solar systems that we can find that have evidence that they would have all of those things protected.
Now here's the question. Are we alive because all of those things coincidentally are put together? Or did we just evolve to use what we have?
Oh my god, are we a chicken and egg situation?
Exactly.
Oh my god. Okay. Also, I saw a TikTok the other day.
The moon is the egg.
Oh my god. But someone said that they only just learned like what the joke is for like why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side, and I almost screamed because I never thought about it, and they were like, because I didn't realize there was more than it's a dumb joke. The other side, it's because the chicken gets hit by a car and goes to the other side, like the beyond.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Is this common knowledge? Because I didn't know that.
It's like semi-common knowledge. It's one of those things where it's like 50-50. Like 50, if you say that to a person, it'll be like a 50% chance of them being like, yeah, obviously everyone knows that. And a 50% chance of them being like, what?
Yeah, I didn't know.
I never thought
I didn't know. And I was like, what? Oh my god.
Yeah,
I didn't want to think of a chicken dying. I like chickens.
I like those nugs.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh boy.
Anyway, sorry, that was...
Okay, so we're very off topic.
Yeah, that was Moon Corner.
Yes.
I've just been dying to tell you that we're losing the moon. I don't know why.
Oh god, I'm losing it because we're losing the moon.
But
when will this be? Like, I assume I'll be dead.
Yeah,
but
it's like not for like
I don't have to see.
Not for like a billion years.
Oh, just a billion.
Yeah. Well, I think I told you, I told you that eventually the sun will explode, and you freaked out about that, even though that's also billions of years away.
Oh god, I don't want to be there. I mean, I won't, but like, sorry, I have to go back. What happens when the moon does go away? What happens to Earth? What do we do? Not we. What happens to like?
I don't know.
The Earth will be substantially different then, so there's that.
Yeah, I think
like the Earth is just gonna be a fiery mess by then. So jokes on the fucking moon.
Yeah, we're
that's actually quite possible. Yeah, because
like, oh no, I was joking. Oh no.
Also, so we will slowly stop having tides at all. So a lot of life on Earth is gonna get fucked up and go extinct.
Because
they depend on the tides.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that. No. Basically, everything on life will no longer be able to survive.
Yeah. So the moon's really doing us a lot of solids.
Yeah, it's the pull of the moon's gravity on Earth that holds our planet in place. Without the moon stabilizing our tilt,
That's right.
it's possible that the Earth's tilt could vary wildly. It could move from no tilt, which means no seasons, to a large tilt, which means extreme weather, constantly.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it.
Yeah. So that's why that's.
Oh god,
That's
my
why
dreams are gonna be so bad tonight.
That's why all those weird plans that people have had for like blowing up the moon is like, what the fuck, guys? Like, that, don't blow up the moon.
Oh yeah, the moon's our ally. Oh
Yeah.
god.
Now, for the
Go
record,
to the moon.
they the current estimates of when the moon will leave the Earth's orbit put it around 15 billion years from now.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Earth
And I
is
think-
only 4.5 billion years old.
Yeah, I think the universe is like 13 billion years old.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh god, somehow that seems little. I don't know why, but it like only 15 billion only.
The
don't know
entire universe has,
That doesn't
has
make
not
any
been
sense.
alive. The entire
none of
being
it-
of things has not been around for 15 billion
Listen,
years.
I think I'm stressing out right now. I'm not.
Sorry, maybe I freaked you out too much.
Oh my god, why is 15 billion seem tiny all of a sudden? Oh my god.
It's billion, man. Okay,
I know. I have no sense of time or money. Oh god.
okay, maybe this
That
will help.
amount is too big for me to really grasp.
That is fair, and that is human nature also. We're very bad at big numbers.
Yep.
Yeah. it's
So,
too big.
okay, something that might help conceptualize it is someone did a demonstration of how much like $1 billion is. So they're like, here's like 1 grain of rice, and it equals like $100,000 or whatever. So they're like, $1 million in grains of rice is like 10 grains of rice or whatever. And then like $1 billion is like a room full of rice.
Wow.
Too much rice.
Yeah.
That's too much rice.
That is a
It's
lot
like the
of fucking
difference
rice.
the difference between $1 million and $1 billion is crazy. It's like, well,
That's
what
too
is it?
much.
Like a billion, 1 million seconds is like, like a few months, and then 1 billion seconds is like 12 years or some shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh god.
yeah, it's
God.
like I just pulled those numbers out of my ass, but like it's that extreme.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's too
15 of
high.
those until
God.
until we lose the moon. So
That's too much rice.
Okay, a
That's
million
way
seconds
too
is
much
12
rice.
days.
okay. I knew there was a 12.
A billion is 31 years and 8 months.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So
Okay.
quite a difference.
So it's even more extreme than I said. Because I said a
God.
few months versus 12 years. And this
Yeah.
was like 12 days versus 31 years.
Yes.
Oh god. Billionaires should not exist. That's too much. That's
Yeah.
all too much.
Yeah.
And a trillion
All right.
seconds is 31,600
I don't wanna think about that.
years.
No.
Oh, God.
No. No. That's,
Also,
that's
okay,
too
just
big.
just before
Let me
we
stick
get
with
out,
my fake numbers. Let me stick with my fake numbers when I say a bajillion
Yeah.
or gazillion. Like, that's not real numbers. Let me live with those fake big numbers.
a Google is a real number? Googleplex?
No.
It's one.
What?
It's 1 followed by 100 zeros.
Nope. I hate
Yep.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Quickly before we get off of Moon Corner, I just want to say something that like didn't occur to me, like beforehand, but I heard someone talking about it like after the most recent eclipse happened. The fact that we have eclipses is fucking insane, and is
Yeah.
like so many insane coincidences have to, well, 2 main coincidences have to happen for that to exist. Like, other planets don't have eclipses because, like, our moon is 400 times smaller than the sun. And the distance from our sun to our moon happens to be like 100 times. So it's just coincidental that our moon is like as many times smaller as the sun as how far away from the sun it is, so that they're equal in size in the sky. So the fact that that also there's even times when they line up perfectly is just crazy. Like, the chances of that happening anywhere in the universe is very small. So it's nuts that it happens on Earth.
I mean, that last one was a real doozy.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it was like, it had been projected to be, like, cloudy that day, and we're like,
Oh, yeah.
fuck it, we're gonna go anyway. And then it was like, oh, sick, it's actually, like, clear. Like, it's actually gonna be...
On our way there, like, right before we got there.
Yeah, even, like, 5 minutes before it started happening, it was clear. And then, like, right as the moon was, like, directly in front of the sun, it was, like, clouds.
Yep.
Overcast.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Look,
We still got it.
Yeah.
That darkness was wild.
Yeah. It was still, like, there was still a couple moments where, like, the clouds cleared just enough for you to see it, so we still got to see it, but it was kind of
a good view.
Yeah.
That it was still, despite the clouds, we still, I mean, also on that lake.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a lot to edit out of this episode.
I'd fucking leave it all in, man.
Fair enough.
Hey, man, if you're still listening to us, you know what you're getting.
You're going to get some kind of corner an episode.
Yeah, you know what these episodes are. Like, you know.
You know what you're getting into.
Yeah. All right, but that being said, yes, we should get back on track.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know where the track is.
I mean, I guess... Okay, my only other thing I'll say is I actually did come up with a nickname for clone Kalis, but I didn't like it enough to use it. I wrote cloneness.
No, I don't like it.
But neither did I. That's why I didn't use it.
Yeah.
But I feel like...
Yeah, it's not your best
as
work,
I give
but...
It's not my... That's why I didn't use it multiple times. I mean, I probably could have not mentioned it here, but I was like, I think people expect me to make a nickname of something at this point. And I tried to think of something, but...
Well, unfortunately, he's like Cher.
He
only has one name.
Yeah.
Oh, that's... Sorry, Jeff posted a picture of the other side of the moon.
Yes.
Oh, God. Oh, boy.
Don't look at it right now.
Okay. Yeah, because that'll add another 10 minutes to this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the moon, but it looks not like you're used to seeing it.
Okay, I'll take a peek and I'll keep it.
See, way more impact craters, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
But you notice how big some of those are?
Although like, we had a conversation about this like not too long ago, but the moon is surprisingly small. Like, it's big, but it is small.
Yep.
If you take like the landmass of Canada and put it on the moon, it covers almost 2/3 of the moon.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wild.
Yeah. Canada's like one of the biggest, like the second largest like country by landmass on Earth, but it's still like still a very small part of Earth, and it covers almost all of the moon.
Wild.
Yeah. Don't worry, Dory. I also get freaked out by the moon because it's fucking in space and you can see it and it's right there, but it's in fucking space.
I'm on board with the moon. Like, I'm
I love
favor.
the moon.
I'm pro moon.
Yeah, definitely pro moon.
That's why I'm so distraught about it leaving us at one point.
Yeah. I don't know if this will emotionally impact you as much, but Mars has 2 moons, and one of its moons is slowly crashing into it. So eventually,
crashing into Mars.
Yeah. So it has the opposite problem of our moon, where it's slowly getting closer and closer to Mars, and eventually it'll get so close that it'll just like crash into the planet.
Would that do anything to Earth?
No.
Okay. Good.
I mean, the result of it might.
No, that's what I mean. Like, if there's if
it
hits like Mars and like there's like like shards go flying all over the place? Would that go to Earth?
Like it depends on how violent the crash is.
Because they're next door to us. I mean,
because
so
the
to
thing is that
speak.
there is speculation that Earth was actually, that the moon was actually a part of the Earth at one
Yeah.
point.
It's like planet Pangea.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the main, because like because people have like debated and tried to study like what's the origin of the moon, and so I think the main theory is that the moon is a chunk of Earth that got like dislodged like when the bigger Earth got like hit by like another mass
Oh,
Very early on.
very early
I don't
on.
like
This was
that.
like when the Earth was
Pre-life.
still like just volcanoes.
oh boy.
This actually would have been even before that.
Oh.
It would have been when the Earth was just like a huge, massive rock that was not even remotely spheroid yet.
Yeah, it was
I
just
wish
like
you
a
guys
lump
could
in
see my
space.
face. I did not know
Yeah.
that the Earth was covered. It was just like volcanoes, 100%, and the face that I have currently going on is
Oh,
Well,
volcano.
Dory,
planet?
for a not completely accurate but at least somewhat informative history of the Earth, there is a segment of the Disney's Fantasia movie that came out like 75 years ago that's actually goes through the history of the formation of and life on the planet.
yeah.
No, I don't fuck with Fantasia. The elephants. I don't like. There
What are you
was.
talking about? The elephants are adorable.
I mean, you can skip the
remember
elephant
when I was a
part.
kid. Listen, I don't remember specifics, but I remember when I was a kid, I watched it and it freaked me out. That I've kind of low key blocked parts of it out. That like, I don't fuck with Fantasia.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, no, like at a certain point the Earth was like just a lump of rock in space, and then eventually it slowly started turning into the Earth we know now. Cuz like it went through like a volcanic period probably, and yeah, there's still a lot we don't know, or like stuff that I just haven't looked up in a very long time.
I'm sure Carl Sagan knew.
Yep. But like, yeah, that's like because of what like people are still like trying to figure out like how life started on Earth, like, you know, and one of the theories is that like maybe an asteroid that had life on it already hit Earth and then seeded the Earth with that life, or you know, it's possible that it, you know, developed like spontaneously on Earth. Independent, because it's like we yeah, I think once Earth developed an atmosphere, then that started to allow for the creation of water,
Yep.
because that's when sort of the water cycle started to happen, and then water is sort of like the key to life, you know. So that's what started, like that's when they talk about like the primordial pool or whatever. It's like one of the sort of theories is that basically like there would just be like these big pools of goo, and like that goo was like organic matter, and then eventually from that goo more
They
complex
made Kalis.
yeah, basically that like more complex beings started evolving, and like, you know, it went on and on and on till it evolved.
There
Yeah. There was a
boy.
point on Earth where there were plants, but no trees.
Oh,
Yeah, so there was a
not a lot of shade then.
yeah, because I think I can't remember what it was. There
Why
was
is
some
that my first thought? Is no shade.
I can't remember what it was, but there was something that evolved before trees that was surprising. It must have been some kind of animal, I think, where it was like this existed before trees even did, and it's like that's nuts. It might have been sharks actually, because sharks are really fucking old.
Aren't also crocodiles or alligators? Aren't they really old too?
I think so.
One of the what do you call it? One of the earliest things that like peppered the Earth before trees was actually mushrooms. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember reading about there were mushrooms that stood like what do you call it? That stood like giant mushrooms, like mushroom forests, basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
sick. That makes sense. It makes sense that like a fungi would thrive.
Yeah, exactly.
They're pretty robust.
They're also a
and-
relatively simple biological organism.
Yeah. Let's see. I just want to look up how old are sharks. Their history goes back to at least 400 million years. So that's sharks have been around for at least 400 million years.
Then it's definitely not
That's
sharks.
too many years.
Yeah. How old are trees? Let's see. Between 350 and 420 million years.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're about as old as sharks,
Huh.
depending. They could be a little younger, they could be a little older than sharks. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have any idea about each other.
Mm-hmm. How old is the moon? Oh, I just put how is the moon.
The moon's fine, thanks.
Yeah. How old is the moon? Okay, 4.5 billion years.
Gross.
Sorry.
I mean, it looks great for its age.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, we should probably get back on
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
Where were we? Did we even finish the recap?
Oh, yeah. We finished the recap a while ago.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Then I think it's more than fair to move on to favorite moments in line.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay. Gowron. Gowron was great this episode. Big fan. I liked Worf. I thought Worf was great this episode.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good lines. Let me find them. Oh, I like Data and Worf's conversations about faith and stuff. That was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did like Gowron's bit about an idea. It's like, Kalis has been dead for 1,000 years, but the idea of Kalis is still alive. Have you ever fought an idea, Picard? It is no weapon to destroy, no body to kill. I was like, that's kind of cool. And I liked when Gowron said to, why did I forget how to say his name? I've only said it 1,000. Yeah, I've only said it 1,000 times today. He goes, Koroth, I see that not all fools die young.
Yeah, that was a really good line.
Pretty good burn. Oh, when Gowron pulls his Uno reverse, he's like, when he's talking with the guy, and he's like, what's his name? Describe him. What was he wearing? How tall was he? What color were his eyes? Yeah. Oh, I did like the plot twist that it was a clone. I did not see that coming. Oh, of course. Karoth goes, how do you know this wasn't the way the prophecy was to be fulfilled? Who is to say what we did was wrong? And then Worf going, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I mean, there was a bunch of stuff oh my gosh, Worf's line, despite the facts, they will still believe, that was like, that hit real fucking hard, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There was some good stuff this episode.
Yeah. Turns out feelings don't care about your facts.
Nice.
Yeah, that was honestly my favorite was the bit where he's like, who's to decide what we did was wrong, and Worf's like, me, I am. Yeah, that was generally my favorite bit, and yeah, where Gowron's like, what was his name, huh? Riddle me this. Yeah, that's about it. My favorites are exactly the same as your story.
I think for me, the moment that actually ended up resonating with me quite a bit was the finale lines that Kalis had with Worf in the transporter room. I thought that was probably one of the most poignant things that he had said throughout the entire episode, because there's a lot of points where he's just kind of spitting platitudes and they are not particularly meaningful, and I found that frustrating. But then when he does have something genuinely meaningful to say at the end there, I'm like, okay, this is... You're having a good outro. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Because honestly, I don't as far as a religious leader or whatever, I don't really. This Kalis seems fine. He seems fine.
I don't buy it. But yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't seem overly bad. So it's like whatever. That's my take on it. Mm-hmm. It's like there are. It seems like there are worse people you could have, like being Klingon Pope.
True. Yeah.
Okay, so now moving on to predictions for the next episode. This episode, Dory, I'm very excited to see your reaction to this episode. This episode is a Riker episode.
Okay.
And it's called Second Chances.
Uh-oh. Is it fucking Kyle? No, Riker, don't give him a second chance. He sucks.
So, your tidbit is that on an away mission, Riker finds himself having to confront his past.
His dad. Oh my god. Is he... First thing popped into my head is Riker's on a mission, and then he runs into his dad on the mission, and then they get stuck somewhere, and they have to either not necessarily work together, but they are kind of like stuck there with nothing to do until they are rescued, and they know where they are, but they can't get to them. It's going to take some time. So I think Riker is forced to talk to Kyle. Mm-hmm. And Kyle sucks. So that's how you think he's going to confront his past? Or he's sent to Alaska.
All right.
But that seems less likely.
Okay. Well,
yeah, that's it.
If you want to see if Dory's correct, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.